Hey friends, Zach here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my setup. And over the course of the last 3 months, there have been many aspects of the setup that I have loved and many things that I might design a little bit differently next time. So I'm going to highlight some of those changes that I would make and also talk about some of the things that I would keep the same. The idea for this video comes from Michael Pellegrino, who says, "Great setup. After living in it for a while, is there anything that you would change or anything that you would add?" And Blue Yoda 4x4, who says, "Is there anything you would change about your current setup?" So to answer your question, yes, there are plenty of aspects of my setup that I would change. But before I dive into that, I want to thank you guys. That's Michael Pellegrino and Blue Yoda 4x4 for asking those questions. You guys are the motivation behind the creation of this video, so thank you guys for asking questions. Most of the things that I would change about my setup come from one main idea. Now, if you look behind me here, you can see that my space inside of my truck is incredibly limited. And with this being all the space that I have to live with, I have to use it wisely. So the first thing that I would change, or the first thing that I would do to maximize the efficiency of my setup, is I would simply get rid of a bunch of stuff. I do have a dry storage rack up top, which helps to eliminate some of the clutter on the inside of the living area. But like I said, there's so much stuff that I'm simply not using and haven't even touched over the course of the 3 months that I've been on the road. So that is the first thing that I would change. I would simply get rid of stuff. Now, once I go ahead and get rid of all this stuff, it allows me to really think about the way in which I should be designing my setup. When I originally designed this setup, as you see it now, I took into consideration the fact that I would be bringing with me a ton of stuff. I would have all of this stuff in my roof rack up top, and I'd have all this other random stuff that I'm talking about inside of this drawer. So if we pop this drawer open here, I can go ahead and show you some of the stuff that's inside. And some of it is very valuable. I have a lot of cooking stuff and a lot of stuff that I simply use on a daily basis. But like I said before, some of it is just useless stuff. So with that in mind, one of the first things I would do is I would simply make this drawer a little bit smaller. Or if I kept it the same size, it would allow me to move things from a different location into here, thus freeing up extra space. Now, one of the biggest problems about making this drawer here a little bit smaller, or at least reducing its height, is that it would no longer allow my fridge to slide under the bed. Now, that fridge is about 20.5 inches tall, and it fits perfectly underneath there. And that fridge is what determined the size of this drawer. If I did decide to make this drawer maybe 6 to 8 inches shorter, I would either have to find a different fridge or find a different location for my fridge. Another aspect of my setup that I would absolutely change would be this compartment area right here that stores my clothes and a bunch of other random stuff. So this area right here in the front with this door access, I absolutely love. I have my access to my knives here and just other essential stuff that I'm using all the time. My silverware, matches, toothbrush, tea, whatever it is. The important stuff that I use often goes right there. The part of this area right here that I would definitely make changes to would be the clothing setup. The first thing I would do, just like I would drop off a bunch of my stuff, is I'm gonna get rid of some of my clothes. I have some clothes here and some clothes in the cab, and I simply brought too much with me. So that's the first thing I would do, drop off some of my clothes. The next thing I would change about this area right here is I would design these drawers in a different way. Now, as you can see, the clothes just simply sit in the drawers. And after doing laundry, when the drawers are full, sometimes they fall out. And that's one thing, after 3 months of living in here, I kind of got sick of. So that's probably one of the biggest things I would change about this area. I've thought about messing with some ideas with maybe stringing some paracord between here, maybe adding some drawers on here, but that's just an idea that I would have to play with later. So that's something I would change. In addition, if I can bring you up top here, the top of this surface here is 100% flat. Now, it's great for when you're parked and You can put anything on it, open bottles, closed bottles, whatever it is. It's flat and it's a great little surface area. But in motion, everything is put away, everything has a place. And so a flat surface doesn't really do me much benefit during transportation, during travel. So that's another thing that I would change, is that I would want to configure some part of this area on the top surface here to be able to maybe hold bottles. Maybe there's a compartment that allows me to store items inside of it. That's something that I would change about the top surface here. So like I said before, I have thought about redesigning this big drawer in front in a way that would decrease the height enough to bring my bed down a few inches. And in doing so, the main idea behind that would be to give me extra room while sleeping. Now I'm gonna go ahead and lay down in there so you guys can see what it looks like. But the process, for the most part, it hasn't been too bad. But because there is such limited space up here, it's not the easiest or most comfortable way to get up here. So basically, the way I do it is I'll just sit up here like this. So for me, it's not too bad, but one thing that I would definitely change, lower the height of this drawer, which would consequently lower the height of the bed, and it would make it much more comfortable to sit in, and perhaps it would even act as a bench. And so if I was with a couple other people, we could even maybe fit 3 or 4 people in here. But with the way it is now, sitting on it in a bench form just isn't comfortable really at all. That's a huge part of something that I would change and probably will change. Now, before I highlight some of the aspects of my living space that I absolutely love, I want to talk about a few of the things that I might consider changing. One of those is my blinds or window covers. And as you can see here, it's very bulky, it's pretty large, and considering it is pretty thick, it's somewhat difficult to move. Now, I have done a great job of figuring out the best way to maneuver with them while inside the living space, but for somebody who's unfamiliar with them, it might be somewhat complicated. So an alternative to these thick window covers might be just a cloth to act as a curtain. And these do a great job of keeping out all of the light. So if I was able to find something else that could keep the light out as well as these do, I would definitely consider making the switch to those. Another thing that I would definitely consider changing, but hasn't been a problem at all in any way, shape, or form, is this cargo net up top. So I simply have paracord that has been woven between the through bolts of the roof rack, and this has allowed me to, as you can see here, to store some of my window covers up top. One thing that I would definitely consider redesigning or maybe even adding to the cargo net would be making it easier to store things inside of the cargo net or off of the cargo net. So perhaps having extra carabiners that I could maybe hook bags to or hook other things to would allow the cargo net to be much more efficient for me and would definitely be more beneficial for the living space. Now, there are many aspects of this living space that I probably would not change unless I did a completely different design. I would definitely want to incorporate them somehow into my new design. This right here is one of them. It is the door to my lockbox, and the reason why I love it so much is because not only does it do its job as a door, but it also doubles as a tabletop. This is fantastic because it allows me to sit in here. I can get work done, whether it be editing videos or do other work. It's a great little tabletop. Sometimes I eat here, and it's just a great use of space. Like I said before, there's not much of it in here, so maximizing it is something that I definitely love doing, and I love that this tabletop does exactly that. What I really love about my setup is that big drawer up front and the stovetop that pulls out of it. So let me go ahead and give you guys a view of the way that functions. So this big drawer right here is on two 250-pound, 3-foot full extension drawer slides. So I get a beautiful view of everything inside. And although it is stuff that I am gonna eventually get rid of, the storage space definitely does not go to waste. So that is one aspect of this living space that I love. Now, out of this drawer is another drawer, and this is my stovetop. I have a Coleman stove. It runs on propane, and this thing is fantastic. And having this set up like this allows me to cook pretty much anywhere. And if it is in fact raining and I do need a place to cook, the stovetop just comes off and I can cook inside, under an awning, or anywhere for that matter. So this is something that allows me to take my setup pretty much anywhere, and it allows me to live a consistent lifestyle under pretty much any conditions. So with that being said, that right there was many of my favorite things about my setup, some of the things I didn't like, and some things that I may or may not change next time I design. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you to those who requested this video. Keep asking questions, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.